Okay, then I think we can get started. We have a couple of people now, and it's already 11:01. So, we have a special guest today. It's Karthik. He was in India when he joined our group, and now he moved to Germany. So, maybe there's a lot he can share with us. And you can also ask him questions about how he found his job and what were the roadblocks that he faced and how he overcome those issues. And we would also like to know if the Imagine Foundation recommendation letter really helped you, because there were so many questions going on in the group around that. So maybe Karthik, you can give a short introduction of yourself, how you managed to get a job, and then we can also take up questions from the participants. Yeah, over to
Yes,
you.
sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, so hey everyone, I'm Karthik. So I'm from Chennai, India, and I currently have around 4 years of experience. And so I worked in companies like Zoho and Samsung in India, and I started my job hunting process um, around mid of last year, like after June, July in 2020, and yeah, I had so many roadblocks and problems I faced because the situation was not very great during that time, and it was very hard to get interviews. Yeah, and I finally found a job, and I'm currently in a city called Dortmund in Germany. So yeah, that's pretty much a brief introduction about me.
Awesome. Then thank you for joining the call today, Karthik. And
Oh.
so, guys, you can start with your questions if you have any, and then we can see further.
Like I'm very new to this group. I just joined yesterday, and this is
Okay.
my first call. So
Cool.
so this is my aspiration to go abroad and work and earn big bucks. But I don't really relate to the process. Where do I fit in? What? So I'm working as a backend developer here, working in Node and React front end also, React and React Native. So kind of a full stack, but I don't really see. First of all, I do not belong to any tier 1 college. So
It
if
doesn't matter, man.
that is
Doesn't
a
matter.
roadblock or so, uh, and then like which is there any sure short path that I shall follow, or is it just luck that we are trying our best and then if all works out and I'm there.
Okay, first of all, you don't have to worry about the tier 1, tier 2 colleges because I don't think such thing exists. So you don't have to worry about that. And so yeah, I wouldn't say like you don't have to completely rely on luck. That's just an additional factor. I would say it's not just based on luck. So yeah. So have you ever shift job? Like have you like changed your jobs in India? So,
Yes,
so
yes.
you pretty much know how the interview process is like, right, in companies. So I would say it's very close to that. It's a bit like different, but you can also see a lot of similar things which is going on. So yeah, so I wouldn't call it, no, the luck is, it's not a very big factor here. So you're pretty much covered. You don't have to worry about the colleges, because as far as I've seen, they don't you know think about tier 1, tier 2 colleges because they don't know about which college you
Yeah.
studied here. So doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And what do you do? Like what do you do? Like you are a developer tester, and
Yes, I'm a backend engineer.
so like when you were preparing for the interviews and all, so
Mhm.
were you polishing your skill set or were you focusing on algorithms and data structure and all? So
Oh, it's pretty much everything. It's not like you have to focus only on one thing. It's pretty much everything, like algorithms, design, your behavioral questions. You have to be always ready for whatever questions they give you. So it's pretty much everything. You can't just focus on certain things and leave out other things. Doesn't
yeah.
work that.
Okay.
I guess I also can, shed upon some light on this topic, because last week I got a chance to give an interview in a company called TradeByte.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, they have 4 different rounds. First round was to get to know each other. There was a 20 minutes meeting, and post then they had given me a coding round on Codility. As Anup already has discussed over this meeting, that Codility is something there where they check your technical skills, right? So they had given me 3 programs on Codility to solve, and then I have solved them. And post then there was an interview in which they have talked with me about my past experiences, how I manage the work, what are the different kind of projects I have worked upon, what are different technologies. They haven't asked me any single technical question in that interview. So right now what I'm doing is I'm just waiting for the for their answer, that whether I cleared that round or not. So it was on Friday, and it was a good experience.
Awesome. Yeah, I've seen Zalando is hiring a lot from outside of Germany.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard from a lot of people that they gave the first round of test on Codility, and also the second round as well. So I think, yeah.
Yeah, they also told me that if you clear this round, you need to work for us for a day, and you need to come and join our meetings and get to know each other, our team members, and we get to know you, that how you work, what is your approach to different kind of problems, and in the end you'll let us know that what was your approach and how you did this work, and then we can probably if everything is all right, we can probably give you an offer. Yeah.
Sounds great. Yeah. So even if you don't get selected, my personal opinion, you at least get to know how the work goes
Yes.
in Germany. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
Hi, my name is Ajit. I'm also kind of new to the group, and attending the meeting for the first time. So my question to Karthik, can you just run us down through your experience, from how many years are you trying to apply for the jobs in Germany? What are the modes? I know we are hearing a lot of experiences through different YouTube channels and everything, but it would be nice to hear a first-hand experience. It would be very much motivating. How was your experience? What are the modes of applications? How was the interview? How was their feedbacks? Everything.
Okay, so you want to know about the journey which I gone through.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
In a nutshell, don't run out to yeah. All right.
Yeah. Got it. So yeah, like I told you previously, so I started applying after the middle of July 2020, and yeah, like I said, the timing was not very great, and I used to get the rejection letters immediately, like after 2-3 days, because people were not hiring, and even if they were hiring, they had some conditions like we want to hire only inside EU and not outside EU, because there are some hassles in hiring people outside of EU, because they sponsor you the visa. They have to fly you down here, and it takes a lot of time for you to come here. So that was a main roadblock, I would say, at that time. So yeah, I couldn't get any interviews at that point of time, and yeah, slowly things started changing. So people started hiring in a small quantity. So yeah, then I got a couple of calls, and one startup in Sweden. I was interviewing with them, and I got to the I cleared all the engineering rounds, and the last round was with the CEO, and I couldn't get to that round. And then I was interviewing with another company. So I got an offer from them, and I couldn't take up that offer because I also got the offer at a similar time, around the same week in my current company. So I had to choose between both of them. And these two companies were very big players. They are not startups. They're like unicorns. So I would say you can create some patterns. You can deduct some patterns between the interview in the interview process between startups and the big players. So if you interviewing with the big companies like unicorns, the interview process will be like 7-8 rounds, and usually it starts with a coding round. And okay, sometimes it will be an initial call with the recruiter and or a codility round. It interchanges between these two. So either you have this or that one, and then you will have a meeting with a tech person, probably a tech lead or a senior software engineer. And this interview is like multifold. It can be like 2 rounds within 1 hour, or two rounds within like 2 rounds one after other. So that would be the process. And yeah, then it will be like back-to-back interview rounds, like 2-3 hours on a single day. So you'll be blocked back-to-back engineering questions like algorithms, system design. Even they ask you some behavioral questions in these rounds. So you can expect anything from them. And then there will be a team fit round where you get to meet the team you will be joining. And this is a pretty relaxed round, I would say. But also they notice you in a lot of ways. They want to understand you as a person, not as an engineer. So they want to understand more about you. How are you as a person? How open are you to various ideas? How well do you fit into the team's culture? So all these kind of things. So technically, you could still get rejected in these rounds. So that's also a possibility. It's not like you're okay with you're in a safe place. You don't have to worry about these things. You still have to make a very good impression with your potential team members, and then they will make a final decision, and you will be intimated. You will be announced whether you got selected or not. So this is how it works. In startups, I would say it's a little bit different. You might have been asked to submit a project, which is immediately after the introduction call, the recruiter's call. So you might have to work on a project. You have to, like, you will be given at least a week, but you can ask for an extension, and you have to okay, it's a very good impression if you host it somewhere and then ask the person to just look at the actual running application instead of just giving them the code. So I would say that's a very good thing you can do. Like if you're working on an application, like even a to-do list application, it's a very good thing if you can just host it like AWS or Heroku or somewhere, and then just give them the link also to the code. So it's a very good impression if it is a running app. They don't have to do a lot of manual steps and then they have to run it locally. But anyway, there will be immediately after that round, if you made a good impression with your application, there will be a code walkthrough round where you have to explain every single line of your code, why you took this kind of decision, why you followed this kind of design patterns, why you approached this problem in this way, have you missed any corner cases? So you have to like basically defend your decisions with them. And so there will be a lot of follow-up questions. Like people can ask you a bit of system design. How can you just scale this app? This is a small app. How can you scale this up? What are the problems you will be facing if you just scale this up? And so something similar to this. There will be a lot of follow-up questions. And this will be like 1 hour or 2 hours of the duration will be. And so yeah, you can also get some advices about how can you further develop this app and how can you basically improve the decisions you took. So something similar to that. And yeah, then there will be another technical round or a team fit round or a CU round. It depends upon the company. So this is the template I found for startups. So this is basically the difference between the startups and the unicorns or some big players. So this is what I've found with my experience. And yeah. So did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. Like just one part, like what are the modes that you applied, like whether it was LinkedIn, like, or like what are the online sources that help
okay,
you?
I would advise you to just stick to multiple resources. Don't just stick with only one. So LinkedIn, Stack Overflow, and there are so many job portals. I think the Anup has a separate section in his website. So just stick to multiple resources. Also, you can apply directly on their website. So some companies will use a third-party service for job application process. Some will have their own portals. So I would recommend you to just stick with multiple sources. So yeah, even if you don't feel comfortable applying to a company with a third-party portal, you can just, it's a very good point. It's a very good a place where you can know about certain companies. You don't know multiple companies which are hiring. So just take a note of it and you can just apply to them in their direct career website. That's also an option for you.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Karthik.
Yeah.
Thank you, Karthik. That was an awesome information that you provided. And I would also say that there are two major websites which I think are really awesome. I personally found them awesome. One is the Moberries. I don't know if you have used that, Karthik.
Yeah, Moberries.
Yeah, so they have a lot of startups registered with them, and I think they are actively recruiting as well. And the other one is Honeypot, and I think it's also an awesome concept that you just have to upload your resume and update your profile, and companies start applying to your profile. So you don't have to do that.
Yes. And also, there is a similar website called Talent.io, which is similar to Honeypot.
Yeah.
And there's one more website called AngelList. I think AngelList, yeah. So I think they've changed their name to angel.co, something similar to that. That's also a very good website where you can apply to companies. But this is mostly like startups.
Yeah.
Like initial seed A round funding level startups.
Yeah, and just a disclaimer that you don't have to worry if you are even getting hired for a startup, because in Germany, startups are really kind of stable and they are offering much better salary than maybe established organization sometimes, most of the times, I think. Yeah. Any other questions?
Is language a barrier in Germany? Like, I do not know German.
Yeah, me neither. So don't worry about that.
But
yeah, in certain jobs where there will be a very in bold letters, there will be a disclaimer that please only apply to us if you know German, or if you're working inside EU, or if you're an EU citizen. So you can just, but yeah, you have to read the whole description before applying to the job, because it doesn't make sense if you just apply to them and they just reply you that we can't hire you. So just read the job description carefully, and there will be a description that we can sponsor you visa for this job or not. So I would recommend you to just apply to that only if there is a description that they can sponsor you visa. In some companies they don't tell you that they can sponsor visa, but they do actually. So this will be, of course, unicorns, because they have the resources to hire you even if you're outside the European Union. So for that, in that case, you don't have to look for this.
So Karthik, could you please explain a bit about what does it mean when you say sponsor visa? Because so when I was hired, I think my company didn't have to do much about sponsoring my visa. It was just me who had to do everything. So could you please explain about that?
Okay, so you still have to go to the embassy and get the visa, right? So for that, the initial process, it has to be initiated by your employer and not by you, because you have to get a work visa for this. So like the visa application process has to be initiated by them, as far as I know.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I had a different experience, but I mean, and
me too.
So
so you need the ZAV pre-approval and all the other documents, right? So where will you get those documents?
Exactly. You're right. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So ZAV approval is the only step that the employer will need to take from their side.
Exactly.
Once they have that approval, in fact, sponsoring visa actually for most countries means they pay hefty fees for your relocation and everything.
No, that's like
that
relocation
sponsoring
coverage.
means they pay for your relocation visa fee.
Yes. Yeah.
They pay you some bonus for relocating and all.
Yes, I get his point. So what I meant by visa sponsoring is like you get all these necessary documents from your employer, like ZAV approval and everything. So this has to be done by your employer, and you can't do anything about it. You need to get these documents from them. And I think if you get all these documents, even in your visa, there will be a small text which says you got your visa sponsored from this company, I guess. So for me, that was the case. But I don't know how it will look like. You initiate all these things by your own. So I pretty much have no idea about that. So this is how it worked for me.
Yeah, because I kind of helped one guy outside this group, who just had the ZAV letter. And
Raghu, your voice is breaking in between. I think there's a problem with your network connection. Can't hear you anymore. Okay, so
hey, Anup.
Hey, Yusuf.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, this question is to the board actually. I mean, this guy
Can you hear
was
me?
talking about. Am I audible now?
Yeah. So maybe Yusuf, you can continue with your question. Raghu, are you there?
Yeah, my question is.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, then maybe Yusuf, we can wait for your question and let's finish Raghu. Yeah.
Let Raghu.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Is it better?
Yes, it is better now.
Yeah. So outside this group, I was also just helping another guy in March, where he had just a ZAV letter, and he was just getting help from me with all the documents, what to do with the embassy, how to file the visa application. So I think by sponsoring in this context only means that they get you the ZAV letter.
Yes, that's what I meant. Yeah. Because I think not all companies can give you that letter. I'm not sure. I mean,
you have to just. So the process is, you have to apply for with the local government body that you are unable to find a candidate with the same skills, and then there's some sort of application that you have to do, and then they give you that approval.
Okay.
Yeah. Do we have some alternate way to recuse ourselves from this, this labor ministry and all that? I mean, can we go ahead and help the company? Like there are startups who are not ready to sponsor you. Can we apply for a visa for job, and then produce that visa to the respective companies? Is it possible?
Are you talking about the separate visa for job seekers visa, like where you come to the country and then you apply to jobs?
Let's say you have been selected, or is a prerequisite. If you are a EU visa holder, then you can. Then they are going to interview. So in that case, can we suggest or propose that okay, fine, wait for a month or so. Let me apply for a job seeker visa, and then you produce that visa to them, and then will they? I mean, is it going to work? This is an alternate way, right?
Anup, do you want to answer this question? Because I'm not very sure about how job seekers visa work. But maybe you can answer it.
Yeah. So usually the companies. Yeah. So the companies. Can someone mute? I think there's a lot of background noise. Is it maybe Yusuf? You can mute now. I can answer your question. Yeah. So so how the job seeker visa works is you come to Germany, you search for jobs, you apply to jobs, and when you get selected, that visa gets converted to a normal employment visa. But when you are applying to jobs from India, and if you get selected for a job, then they can send you the contract and also the ZAV letter, and you have to apply directly for the employment visa from India. So in that case, if you apply for a job seeker visa, I don't think the companies will accept that, because it's like faking things, and yeah, it's not legal, I would say. And maybe there are some implications to that. I don't know if Raghu knows more about it, but I think that's the problem.
Yes, Anup. I mean, what you said is exactly right, because once you're in JSV, you should come to Germany. I mean, you should not have any offer before coming to Germany.
Yeah, exactly.
While you are on JSV, and even at the last day you had the contract, you have to wait and you have to get it converted to work permit in India and then come to Germany.
Okay. Yeah. And I think it's not a problem for the company to sponsor you. It's just the ZAV, and they can, I think, even do it online. So for my case, I think my startup was able to register on some portal, and they were able to download the ZAV, and they scanned it and sent it to me, which I presented on my visa interview, and that was really simple for them, I think. So there's no, I mean, a lot of processes involved in visa sponsorship, especially for Germany.
Exactly. Yeah.
But currently, I don't think JSP is an option with the the thing that's going on right now.
Yeah.
But from what Pradyumna said, I understood is that, like, if we have a JSP and we are finding a job there in Germany with the JSP, then we only need the contract, right? We can, you know, directly convert our job search visa to using a contract. There is no need for the ZAV. The employer don't have to provide a ZAV.
So let's say once you apply for JSV and you still stay in India and apply for the jobs, and you get interviewed, so that, you know, I mean, you'll project it that you are on job seeker visa and you're ready to come to Germany, and you get the work contract converted you get the visa converted from JSV to work permit in India and then come to Germany. Is it right?
No, I'm talking about the scenario if I'm in Germany with a JSV. So what will be the scenario then? Like, I'm not getting the job from India. I'm already there in Germany with my JSV.
Okay.
I found a job there.
Okay.
So
you just have to submit your contract to the Foreigners Authority office here and the list of documents, and they give you around 6 weeks of time to get converted from JSV to work permit, and then you can get started.
Yeah. So in that case, the employer doesn't have to do anything from their side. Like, just the contract is their application, right?
Nothing. Right. Just a work contract is needed.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite insightful.
So I think that answers your question, right, Yusuf?
Yep. To some extent, yes.
Okay. So any further questions? Anyone?
Yes, hi. My name is Vijay Kumar. I am new to this group. I have a total of 14 years of experience in IT. I'm into SAP. People normally call it as SAP consultants. So I just woke up and I realized that I need to, I can also work on Germany. In fact, we are trying to, immigrate to and try to know about different places like UK, Canada, and Germany. So yesterday I came across Germany's calling group. So thanks, Anup, for that. And my question, it can be answered by anyone. My question is that apart from these LinkedIn's hiring websites, do we have any agencies or consultancies in Germany who can help us in getting interview calls?
Actually, I got a chance to speak with the one consultancy in Germany that is called Find a Job in Germany, and then they charge you a lot of amount to do that. Actually, they coach you to how to interview and how to prepare for those interviews and how to apply. They'll work on your CV, they'll work on your cover letter, and that way you can probably they told me that I got a chance to speak with them for an hour, and they told me that they have a 100% success rate in 21. But initially they ask you to pay 500 euros as a registration amount, and once you got a job in Germany and settled over there, you need to pay 3,000 euros more in installments. That's what they ask for.
Oh, thank you.
My recommendation would be to just try as far as possible to stay away from these type of consultancy. I mean, I can't vouch for their how true they are and how they will live up to their word or what is their success rate. But what I've realized is, compared to most other countries, you can relatively easily find an opportunity here and immigrate here compared to most other countries, because getting a visa, if you have a valid job contract, becomes really easy here.
Yeah.
And especially SAP, I'm an SAP consultant myself in HCM, and it's not that difficult. All that you need is a little bit of refinement in the way how you search for your job, and it should be there. If you follow this group, of course, if you join the Discord channel, there are a lot of conversations about this topic, and I am sure you can get started. My suggestion is start and then see for 6 months and how it goes. Only then you can say, oh, it is working for me or it is not working out for me in my job search. But yeah, there are some agencies that claim to do this. But yeah, I don't know anyone with it or had success with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure, you're welcome.
Hi, Anup.
Yeah.
I have a question. Just one second. Yeah, I have a question related with the recommendation letter. How relevant is the recommendation letter and how often it is asked by the employer?
Okay, maybe Karthik, you can provide some insight on this, because you had some recommendation letter from this, what was it? Imagine Foundation, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say that I think it carries a little bit more value, especially if you're applying outside of EU, because this is given by a company or organization which is inside Germany, and it is a registered company. So it definitely carries more value. Also, they're also partnering with various German companies to help the Imagine members. So yeah, I would say it's not the main driving force, but it's definitely like a catalyst for your job application process. So if you have got a recommendation letter from Imagine, just include that with your job application process, or if there is no like particular section where you can attach it, just attach it with your resume as the in the last page. That would also work.
Okay. Yeah, but in general, it's not even if you don't have, even if you don't have a recommendation, I don't think it matters that much. So if you can prove your skill sets and yeah, I think maybe it's useful in the initial round of interview, for example, the CV shortlisting, or maybe the first round of interviews. Yeah.
Right, correct. Like, cover letter is the most important thing, I guess, after resume.
Yeah.
Yes.
So majorly they look for, apart from the technical skills, they look for the cultural, settlement or cultural, how will you cope up with the cultural differences in Germany, right? That's why they have 6 or 7 rounds of interview. Apart from 2 rounds of technical, I guess. Because I was only interviewed once and just technical round. Of course, yeah, one was HR round.
Mm-hmm.
So I have very little bit of experience with German employers.
Mm-hmm. So what is your exact question here, Yusuf?
No, just just in a statement here.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So yeah, they also look for the cultural fit, of course.
Cultural fit, huh?
Yeah.
Give you my thought on cultural fit. Yeah, it's always difficult to, I would say. Maybe let me give you an example. Let's say if you are a South Indian, you're working in the South and for all your life, and then you have a North Indian in your team, and you're all talking in your local language, and imagine the feeling that the North Indian guy has. Of course, your business language is English, but at times you tend to talk in your local language, and that the other guy felt a little left out.
Right? Awkward. Yeah, I understand completely.
Yeah, so it's very natural. They don't do it. You don't do it on purpose, right? So it's natural for you to do that. And there are very, very few people, I wouldn't say organizations, very few people who take that feeling into cognizance and think of the other guy and try and include him. So I would say, keep in your mind that difference will always be there. You can't avoid it. It's quite natural. So yes, they try to see how you can fit in the overall culture of the team, and how you vibe with the team, how others feel about you. That's what Karthik was mentioning. Team fit round or something, right? They try to see how you can fit in. So yeah, that a little bit of that feeling will always be there. Beyond that, I don't think there is any problem. And that's just my 2 cents of advice or experience, I would say.
No, that's an expensive advice. Not 2 cents.
Yeah. But that's of course there back in India also. I wouldn't say that's new.
Yeah, that's a human.
I mean, it's there everywhere, but it's you have to kind of be prepared for it and then say, yeah, it's natural, it's going to be there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And the moment you start speaking a bit of German, they start to love you a lot more.
I see. Provided, I mean, they like our accent.
Yeah, I mean, the moment you try to speak, they feel that you're putting that effort to try and get into their world a little bit at least. And I think someone was asking earlier, how important is it to learn German, or what is it, or similar question. I would say, though your job doesn't require, I would still strongly recommend that you learn German, because you're coming into German not just for work. Beyond the 8 to 9 hours, beyond that, you have to create a life for yourself. And just by managing with English, it's not possible in all cities, I would say.
I see.
Yeah.
But in IT industry, I mean, it's not mandatory, I guess, right? But most of the work is in English.
Yeah, I mean, some companies say that. I mean, for example, I know a company called, I think it was Delivery Hero. I think they clearly say, we want English speaking people. I've seen one of their websites or somewhere I've seen they clearly said, we are an English speaking company.
Yes, English must. I have seen even English must. Yep.
Yeah, English is a must.
Yep.
But there are traditional companies that want to get into the zone of trying to be international, but of course as a culture it becomes a big change for them to get into English. So yeah, even if you come with with the requirement that English is okay, I would still recommend that you learn German. It makes things much easier.
I mean, like which certification would be essential for us to cope up with the culture, or going in the restaurant or somewhere?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, certification and speaking are 2 different things, in my opinion. Certification you could study and get it. Speaking is something you have to practice and get.
That's a slow process, huh?
Yeah. It can take time.
Any specific cities which they are very conservative about their language, culture? Any?
Actually,
so we can avoid initially,
I maybe try and will give you the opposite answer. I would say, like, cities like Berlin and Frankfurt have more English speaking people, and they're more used to people from English speaking countries.
Yes.
And so just one point here, I also came to know that even the Google office in Munich, people speak in German once they are not working. So I mean, normally they speak in German. So just be prepared for it.
It's always good to know German.
Yes.
If you can speak and understand.
Yes.
Yeah,
definitely. I mean, yeah, you don't worry about certification. Certification is just I would say
piece
test of your knowledge. Yeah. You must focus on learning and speaking. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, and certification is useful when you are, I think, applying for a permanent residence here. You can show the certification, and it's helpful.
Yeah.
Okay. Any further questions?
I know.
Hey.
I do have a question regarding the visa process thing. So recently I had a discussion with one of the recruiters, and the only concern they had was like, as India is listed as a high risk country for international travel, they were like asking me if I would get, if I like suppose that if I get selected, whether I would get a slot in embassy to go for the visa counseling. So what's your thoughts on that?
I'm not 100% sure, but I think right now it's kind of a gray area. So maybe you can't get a new visa at the moment, but I'm not 100% sure about this. Maybe someone else knows about it.
Yeah, that's right. You know.
Yeah. Okay.
At the moment, no new visa slots are being given for employment or emergency family visits or anything. Even if you have a new valid visa, employment visa, you still cannot travel here unless you are registered here as a resident.
Right.
Like when you, so at the moment it's difficult to say, but what you should tell, in my opinion, is you should say that yeah, it is relatively easier to get a visa slot once things open up, and you know, the visa process is relatively easy compared to most other things. So try and give them a positive answer.
Yeah.
I would say.
All right.
But at the moment, the fact is they are not open.
Okay.
Right.
So my question is to you, Raghu. Actually, I was there in 2019. So is it possible somehow that I will get a, you know, a preference to get an employment visa if I got selected to some company over there?
No, I don't think any that your history really matters.
Yeah.
In my opinion, yeah, it's just your work contract and the documents you submit at the moment determine your visa eligibility.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, of course, I'm not the correct. I'm just answering out of my intuition, or I would say.
Yeah, it's just a personal opinion, I would say.
That's not a problem.
Yeah. So nothing talked about here should be considered official statement.
Yeah.
So it's just our personal opinion, which I think most of the time is correct. Yeah.
So Ashwin, just to add up what Anup and Raghu has said, once you get a job offer from a German company, considering the situation, they will give you around 6 months to 7 months of time so that you can file a visa and then come to Germany. So I mean, one of the group member I heard, they received an offer and company is waiting for them to process the visa in considering the situation, ongoing situation in India. So you have chances to accept the offer and then ask them some good amount of time considering the situation and file a visa.
Okay, so my interview process just started and it was just the initial discussion with the recruiter, and they had mentioned that like if I can get a slot within June, it will be better. So they're okay with to go ahead with the interview process, but like the conditions saying if I get the slot within June.
Oh, okay. But probably if within June, probably I see no light.
Right. So I was thinking like if I should like stop myself applying so that I don't lose like future opportunities, or should I wait until things open up?
Ashwin, I just want to tell you one thing. So there is an option that you can ask your employer that whether you can start the job remotely. So that's also something you can try.
Yeah,
I think you can just work remotely if you have a permanent contract for like 6 months.
So I did discuss that with the recruiter, but they were like, they were a startup and they only follow like in office culture. They don't have the remote culture yet. So they believe people getting
yeah, this is just for a small amount of time. You're not going to
I did mention
remote permanently.
But they were concerned about the current situation in India, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but even in Germany, I think no one is going to office at the moment.
Yes.
So it should be remote for them as well. So
no, like this was from Munich and they said the office was open over there.
Okay.
No, just to add what Karthik has said, once you got a work contract and you cannot directly start working remotely from India, and they will cancel the work contract which they have given you. If, let's say if it's an unlimited contract, they'll cancel it initially and they give you a freelance contract saying that you are eligible to work from India.
Okay.
And post that, once you are here or about to come, they will release you a new contract, and then on top of it, you can apply for work visa and then come Germany.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Okay. That sounds okay.
Well, even I'm in the same condition. You know, I proposed that I can work remotely, but they were rigid about it. No, we need EU visa. So I don't know whether Germany has lockdown or not, but through our university group, I have heard there has been lockdown often. So they may be working from home only. So let's see. I mean, this is their liberty whether they allow for remotely or not. But but we can propose at least.
At least there's no harm in trying. But if I think they would at least allow working remotely in Germany, but not outside Germany. That some companies may not do that. So
but
simply
VPN, but working through VPN is exactly like local thing, you know.
No. There are actually data protection regulations. If you know, in Europe there is a strong data privacy law called GDPR, and certain companies adapt it in different ways, depending on the type of data that they process. If your type of data falls into a certain category, your employer as a whole can decide, I don't want my work to be taken outside into some other country. I would only want it to be done inside Europe.
Yusuf, would you mind muting your
microphone? I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. My apologies.
No, it's okay.
It's okay.
So that is simply put. So if the employer doesn't allow, I'm sure they have all the reasons in terms of GDPR and privacy laws. It's to say no to it.
Yeah, and I think the maximum what these companies can allow you is to work from anywhere within EU. So
yes,
Germany, but the second option is within EU, but not outside of EU. Yeah.
So you can, remote login if you're residing in Amsterdam or somewhere. Huh?
Yeah. If your company allows.
Yeah. I'm trying to understand whether it's coherent. I mean, it's logical thing. Let's say, someone wants to take a snapshot, he can take it residing in the EU itself. No? Anyway, look, they have their liberty. They are employed.
That's the rule.
Yeah. You cannot.
Okay. We have 10 more minutes as per the schedule, so we could take a couple of more questions if anyone has. Sagar, do you have any questions? I'm picking up names now. No? Okay, I think we are only the experts right now, except Sagar and Ashwin. Okay, so I see no from Sagar. Ashwin, do you have further questions?
No, I just had that one concern. So
okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So Yusuf, if you don't have anything else, then we can just, I think, end the call today.
Well, I would be anticipating some experience from the people who are residing there, the expenses, how to cope up with, and how many hours a person, if someone is studying there, how many hours a person can work, and etc. Can throw some light onto it. That would be a great help, because we are planning something, me and Yogesh. So probably that will help us.
Yeah, so working while studying is possible in Germany, but you cannot earn, a lot of money in that case. So it's just, I think you can work, 1 or 2 days, or maybe maximum 3 days in a week. And that too also I think it's the last semester of your college, right? Not before that. I don't know, maybe someone else knows about it. But I also have a video in YouTube, which you can maybe refer. So my interview with Tim, he's a working student, and you could maybe review that once.
And to answer your question, Yusuf, so let's say if you are on a student visa in Germany, and sorry?
Yeah, go ahead. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Let's say if you're on a German, student visa here, once you got enrolled to a university, you get started, and also you can similarly look for the opportunities where you're working in. And for the time being, to join in a part-time, you can only join, that's a not, you cannot earn so much money. Probably you can earn a maximum of 450 euros per month. And that would not be helpful for you, with your experience in India. And the earnings you had is very low here because it's a student income. You cannot work for more hours. Probably on a year, you can work only for somewhere around 400 to 500 hours, I believe. I'm not so sure about the number of hours, but somewhere around.
20 hours a week, maybe.
Yeah, probably 20 hours a week. Something.
A week, huh? Something.
Yeah,
like
yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
To kind of do a job, I would definitely recommend trying for a job from India itself. Given the situation at the moment.
Got it. Even the flights are restricted, I guess.
Sorry?
Flights. Yep. Even the flights are restricted these days. So
yeah.
Many countries are not welcoming people from India at the moment.
Yeah.
Maybe relaxed.
Yeah. For Germany, unless you have a residence permit, or if you have already been here and registered, you have registered your address, only in that case you can visit. Otherwise, if you're a first-time student or a first-time employee in Germany, you cannot visit even if you have a valid visa.
I see.
Yeah. Okay, then I think that's it for today.
Thanks, I'm done. Yeah, I'm done. Thank you.
Awesome. So we'll meet again probably next week. I think we'll have another expert next week. I'll try to figure out. Yeah. So thank you guys for joining and asking all questions, and also the experts for answering all those questions. So see you.
Thank you, Anup.
Next week.
Thanks, Anup.
Thank you for arranging.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah,
thank
you very much. Bye-bye.
See you later.
Thank you.
Bye.
Happy weekend.
Happy weekend.
Happy weekend. Bye.